13h, c'est le temps réel sur Canal 2 International. Bonjour à tous. Bonjour, Regina Leketanda.
Bonjour, Junior. Good morning and thank you for joining us in today's edition of the Bilingual News on Canal 2 International. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Kidnapped by separatist fighters on her way to a funeral, CPDM Senator Regina Mundi is said to have been set free after spending a month in separatist captivity. The Ministry of Defense announced that the lawmaker, alongside other captives, were set free after an operation by forces of law and order in a separatist hideout, precisely in Ashong Batsibo Momo division of the Northwest region.
Kidnappée il y a quelques semaines, la sénatrice RDPC Regina Mundi et plusieurs autres otages sont libérés après une opération militaire, ont été libérés après une opération militaire bien menée par les éléments de force et de défense camerounaises dans le nord-ouest. Une dizaine de terroristes a été neutralisée et 3 autres capturés. On en parle dans ce 13h.
And traders of the Madagascar market in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, are determined to remain at the market site in spite of construction work still ongoing at the new market site. They expressed their anger recently and even uprooted all pillars planted to endorse the market site.
Les Lions indomptables de football poursuivent leur stage de préparation à Yaoundé en vue des éliminatoires de la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023. Les entraînements se déroulent en ce moment à l'annexe numéro 1 du stade Omnisport Amadou Ahidjo.
It's World Tobacco Day. The World Health Organization estimates that in 2020, tobacco was the leading cause of death and disability, with more than 10 million victims per year. Smoking causes more deaths. More deaths.
Merci à tous de regarder Canal 2 International et nous débutons ce journal avec vous, Regina Leketanda.
Effectively, Junior Hossein. Now, our top story today, CPDM Senator Regina Mundi, kidnapped on her way to a funeral in Bamenda, is said to have been set free after spending a month in captivity. The Ministry of Defense has announced that the lawmaker, alongside other captives, were set free in an operation by the forces of law and order in a separatist hideout, precisely in Ashong, in Batibo, in the Momo division of the Northwest region on the night of May 30th, 2022. Madame Mundi, 80 years old, was kidnapped alongside her driver by name Mahmouda on Saturday, April the 30th, 2022, according to the statement signed by the head of the Communications Division of the Ministry of Defense, Colonel Cyril Sech at Tonfak. Senator Mundi's release came after a heavy military operation that began on May 29 and ended on May 30th in Momo division of the Northwest region. According to Colonel Atonfak, he has also noted tens of separatist fighters were killed in the operation and many others were injured. 3 separatists were captured. Ammunitions and arms were equally seized, and the vehicle of the senator was equally recovered. Just to note that our reporter, Northwest Regional Correspondent Annie Collins, is currently at the airport where Senator Regina Mundi is expected to be released right now in Bamenda, and we shall definitely be bringing you updates. But meantime, our reporter, Morindi, has been retracing the circumstances that led to the kidnap and eventual release of the CPDM senator who was threatened to be killed if Anglophone prisoners were not released. More in her report.
April 30, 2022 is a day that would forever remain engraved in the heads of this member of the Senate, Regina Mundi, as she was picked up on that unfateful day around Foncha Street in Bamenda, Northwest Region. Reports say she was heading for a funeral where she fell into separatist dragnet. Her kidnap sparked widespread condemnation across the board for her release, and as days passed, two branches of the Ambazonian Defense Forces claimed responsibility for the kidnapping. Both placed preconditions. The first demanded the release of some detained Anglophone prisoners. The other, a ransom that amounts to millions of francs CFA. A footage of the senator in captivity emerged days later.
I, Madame Regina Mundi, an Ambazonian by birth and nationality,
with other kidnappers all pleading for the release of separatist leaders before May 20, or she be killed, and separatist threats kept mounting, thus putting her life in danger. At this point, many questioned and prayed for God to save her life in separatist captivity. And after a long battle, Regina Mundi finally regains her freedom. Last night, thanks to an operation carried out by Defense and Security Forces in the locality of Ashon, Batibo, Momo Division, Northwest Region, a freedom that comes after she had spent close to a month in separatist captivity. It should be noted, several other officials and authorities, teachers, and many others had been kidnapped in similar circumstances since the crisis started in 2016 in the English-speaking regions of Cameroon. And what is the fate of others? Division and a host of others.
Now, after the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon, international humanitarian organizations Doctors Without Borders is withdrawing from the town of Fotokol, located more than 300 kilometers north of Marwa in the far north region of the country on the border with Nigeria. Hamidu Hamadu, the divisional officer of this division, confirmed the departure of the humanitarian non-governmental organization Doctors Without Borders, cited security reasons for its departure. It denounced the kidnapping of 5 of its staff last February by armed men. According to humanitarian pursuits, this is the logical consequence of the abduction of 3 expatriate and 2 security agents at the end of March 2022, released after nearly a month in captivity. In recent months, relations have deteriorated between Doctors Without Borders and the Cameroonian authorities. The government had accused the NGO of conniving with separatists in the northwest and southwest regions. Doctors Without Borders staff were arrested and detained before 2 were released on May the 20th. The resumption of the organization activities is conditional on the release of the staff members still in detention. And over in Yaoundé, precisely at the Madagascar market, women there have said they are going to stay in the market side in spite of construction works ongoing in the markets. They expressed their anger and even uprooted pillars meant for the construction of the new markets. More in the following report with you, Beatrice Gamo.
Uproar by the traders of the Madagascar markets in Yaoundé, declining in one voice as one big family against moves in place to send them off the site for construction work to begin. So the uprooting of pillars planted to enclose the market. They've been told to relocate to a temporary site just behind the market, which they say is not only very small but unsafe. See where they want to install 1,000 people. Why? We are rebelling. We refuse. There is current flow. When it rains, we can be victims. There are drug smokers here. They can even attack us in broad daylight. Their cry is about their unknown future. After 50, 45, 30, 25, 2015, 10, 5 years and less of business.
Moi, je suis ici depuis 42 ans. On me fait partir. J'ai le ticket de 10 francs, j'ai le ticket de 20 francs, j'ai le ticket de 50 et 100 francs. Si vraiment vous écoutez nos plans, aidez-nous.
They added that all markets in Yaoundé have been constructed with traders inside. Why is that of Madagascar particular? That traders are being sent away. They want to continue while construction goes on. Madagascar market, it should be noted, is a small but strategic market in the Yaoundé 2 council area, serving not only its Madagascar population, but surrounding Sitevret, Carrier, and many. And this Monday morning, the traders are back with their daily business as usual, waiting for the next move.
Junior Hussein, you have the next part of the news.
Et vous en parliez tout à l'heure, plusieurs otages libérés, dont la sénatrice Elisabeth Regina Mundi, dans le nord-ouest du Cameroun. L'opération a eu lieu dans la nuit du 30 mai dernier, dans un refuge terroriste à Akchong, dans le département de la Momo. Les éléments des forces de défense camerounaises, à la suite de ces libérations, ont neutralisé une dizaine de terroristes et capturé 3 autres, plusieurs fusils d'assaut et 14 2022, les musulmans candidats au pèlerinage font grise mine. Il faut débourser désormais près de 4 millions de francs CFA pour se rendre à la Mecque, presque le double de l'année par rapport à l'année dernière ou bien de l'année dernière. Une situation qui inquiète les jeunes musulmans. David Sandio et Stéphane Bina.
Il faut débourser près de 3 294 000 francs CFA pour le package qui assure le séjour en Terre Sainte. Un montant qui grimpe au fil du temps, loin des 2 400 000 francs CFA de l'année dernière. Les musulmans, candidats au Hajj, le dénoncent et voient d'un mauvais œil la collaboration malsaine entre le ministère de l'administration territoriale et quelques dignitaires musulmans.
Et nous appelons aussi le ministère de l'administration territoriale à composer de manière digne avec des musulmans qu'il faut, à la place qu'il faut, parce que la classe moyenne veut aussi participer au pèlerinage à la Mecque, qui est un devoir, un des 5 piliers de l'islam.
Face à la presse, l'acteur de la société civile et leader des jeunes musulmans exige la lisibilité sur la subvention de l'Arabie Saoudite et de l'État du Cameroun pour l'allègement des coûts.
Nous demandons de manière pacifique à l'État de comprendre la doléance de la grande communauté musulmane par ma voix en tant qu'acteur de la société civile et de concert avec les grands dignitaires musulmans du Cameroun, de dire à l'État de nous faciliter la situation. C'est ça le plus important.
Les fidèles musulmans veulent bien se rendre à la Mecque pour se plier à l'un des 5 piliers de l'islam, mais la note à payer rend triste.
Suite aux commentaires et autres réactions après la publication du prix du Hajj 2022, le ministre de l'administration territoriale, Paul Atangadi, publie un nouveau communiqué pour apporter des précisions et des échanges. Vous le voyez en image dans ce communiqué. Le ministre souligne que le prix du Hajj est calculé sur la base d'un certain nombre de services qu'il a détaillés dans le premier communiqué. Le ministre de l'administration territoriale, qui est président de la Commission nationale du Hajj, rappelle à l'opinion publique nationale et aux fidèles musulmans que le prix du Hajj est calculé en fonction d'un certain nombre de services. À titre d'exemple, il y a le service de Mouassassa qui regroupe les séjours à Mina, Afa et Mousdalifa, hébergement, restauration, visa, assurance, etc. Outre les services en question, le ministre de l'administration territoriale précise également que le contexte mondial marqué par la fluctuation du dollar a impacté sur le prix du Hajj 2022. En conclusion, le prix du Hajj de cette année est fixé à 3 294 000 francs CFA et chaque rubrique de dépenses est détaillée dans le communiqué du ministre de l'administration territoriale rendant public le prix du Hajj à consulter en ligne de toutes les façons. Et dans la suite de l'actualité, cette affaire qu'on a baptisée Petrolgate a suscité les réactions des hommes politiques depuis le week-end dernier. Cabral Libby, Joshua aussi, Akeremouna, Maurice Kamto appellent, du moins pour les uns, à un dédommagement et pour les autres à une enquête judiciaire nationale et à la mise sur pied d'une commission d'enquête parlementaire. Lille Piedjou, Calvin Tekam et Henri Tinda.
Glencore doit reverser aux États-Unis et au Brésil une amende estimée respectivement à 1,5 milliard de dollars et 40 millions de dollars pour avoir choisi comme moyen d'obtention des opérations pétrolières sur le terrain, pots de vin et corruption des agents publics. Montant qui interpelle le fondateur de Transparency International Cameroun. Akeremouna invite le Cameroun et les autres pays africains victimes de ce scandale à déposer une plainte contre Glencore à New York, tout en exigeant un dédommagement.
Notre État devrait chercher activement à se joindre au procès qui se passe. Puisque c'est nous qui avons subi le préjudice.
À sa suite, le président national du parti PCRN, Cabral Libby, demande à la justice camerounaise de déterminer l'ampleur de ce désastre chez nous. L'une des raisons de ce qu'il convient d'appeler aujourd'hui Petrolgate, impliquant les agents de la SNH Sonara et autres personnalités publiques au Cameroun, c'est la longévité des individus à la tête de ces structures d'État, selon le président du MRC. Maurice Kamto exige l'ouverture d'urgence d'une enquête judiciaire nationale, un audit général et indépendant de l'ensemble du circuit de la production, de la vente, de l'importation et du stockage des produits pétroliers au Cameroun, non sans recommander au gouvernement de constituer en urgence, s'il est encore possible, l'État du Cameroun en partie civile dans le procès en cours aux États-Unis et dans bien d'autres pays. Quant au vice-président du Social Democratic Front, Joshua aussi, il est temps de constituer une commission d'enquête parlementaire.
La Constitution notamment prévoit les enquêtes parlementaires et je l'ai très bien expliqué, au point où nous en sommes, Glencore a dit qu'ils ont réussi à corrompre et le gouvernement et la justice et les responsables. Donc il ne reste plus que le Parlement pour sauver le pays.
Il y a lieu de se demander pourquoi autant d'opacité autour des questions liées aux matières premières.
Le Cameroun est rentré depuis belle lurette déjà dans l'Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Haïti par exemple, qui exige une certaine transparence dans les matières premières, notamment dans le pétrole. Donc cette opacité, c'est un sujet d'hier.
Des milliards de francs CFA ont été perdus dans cette opération frauduleuse à la SNH et à la Sonara. La décision de l'État du Cameroun reste attendue dans cette affaire.
Nous poursuivons avec vous, Regina.
Yes, we stay with the Glencore Gate, where officials, or rather Cameroon, is amongst the African countries that were bribed by the Swiss mining and commodity trader Glencore. According to reports, officials of the National Hydrocarbons Corporation, known by its French acronym SNH, and the National Oil Refinery Sonora were bribed up to the sum of 7 billion francs CFA by Glencore to obtain crucial crude oil cargoes. Glencore has pleaded guilty and has to pay the sum of $155 US as fine. As we end the following report, with you, Gladys Ambotiba.
It is a big corruption scandal. The Swiss mining and commodity trader Glencore, which bribed officials in some African countries, including Cameroon, has been fined at least $1.1 billion US. The international commodity trading giant pleaded guilty of bribing foreign officials to secure oil contracts and cargoes, bribed governments to avoid audits, bribed judges to make lawsuits disappear, and for manipulating fuel oil prices. The scandals were revealed after US, UK, and Brazilian investigations uncovered the corruption scheme.
Glencore made hundreds of millions of dollars in profits from these crimes, including $272 million from the foreign bribery scheme and $144 million from the commodity price manipulation scheme. And these crimes exacted great costs across the globe, perpetuating transnational corruption and manipulating oil prices in two of the largest fuel markets in America.
The UK's Serious Fraud Office and US Justice Department, in its inquiry report, states that African countries, including Cameroon, were bribed by Glencore to secure oil contracts and reportedly bribed officials of the National Hydrocarbon Corporation, SNH, and the National Oil Refinery, Sonara, 7 billion francs CFA. Name the officials involved in the scandal. Some prominent Cameroonian political figures are demanding an inquiry so that the country can also be compensated.
If you look at what Glencore lawyers said in court, they said they were able to corrupt the judicial system, they were able to corrupt the executive, and they were able to corrupt executives or officials of SNH and Sonara to get through. So it means that all of them are part of the problem. So the only institution that is still available is the parliament.
The U.S. Department of Justice is planning to install 2 independent compliance monitors at Glencore for 3 years to check internal controls.
Cameroon has unveiled global findings on the state of Cameroon's biodiversity. Environmental experts have noted that the country has made strides as far as biodiversity conservation is concerned. However, the population have been urged to multiply efforts in order to avert environmental hazards, as we end the following report with you, Haisentia.
Cameroon counts 8,500 species of flora, over 300 types of mammals, 903 categories of birds, 289 species of reptiles, 222 types of amphibians. The water bodies equally harboring over 1,065 species of fishes. The 6 biodiversity zones of the country can equally boast of over 1,000 insect types and 1,150 fungi species. The findings experts revealed in Yaoundé this May 30th as Cameroon commemorates World Biodiversity Day.
The occasion was very important for us because it helped us to put together all the stakeholders, scientific multidisciplinarity of option, experts to be together and give the right information and the relevant information who can help decision making.
With over 58% of the country's population engaged in the exploitation of non-forest products as a means of livelihood, the Minister of Environment, Protection of Nature and Sustainable Development, Hele Pierre, urged Cameroonians to refrain from activities that destroy the rich biodiversity, message equally re-echoed by young students, ambassadors of nature.
No to pollution, yes for reforestation. Together, let's protect our nature.
The strive to protect nature and its different species must be a collective fight.
Wherever you are in the world, every one of you matters, and every action you take matters. I call upon each and every one of us to do our part.
It was also an occasion this day to award the efforts of students with outstanding messages or designs geared towards conserving nature.
Now, stakeholders in the different value chain of agriculture have presented the difficulties they engage or the difficulties they face in their activities. Now, they made a presentation before the president of the Chamber of Agriculture. Now, during a meeting that took place in the nation's economic capital, Douala, proposals were equally made on how to combat these challenges farmers and other people in the agricultural sector face. Sharifa Saleh was there and now tells us more.
The agricultural sector employs about 70% of workforce and contributes 27% to gross domestic products and 21% of export flows in Cameroon. In order to boost agricultural production in the country and reduce dependence on importation of agricultural products, the president of Chamber of Agriculture, Fisheries, Livestock and Forestry, CAPEF, Martin Paul Minjos, met with stakeholders of the different sector of agriculture in Douala.
Just for in front of your house in the village.
During this meeting, stakeholders tabled out challenges faced by the various agricultural sectors in the nation. The CAPEF talked on how to ameliorate their conditions, especially with the innovative technologies and standard of production.
Nous avons d'abord un problème d'insécurité.
First of all, we have a problem of insecurity at sea, and I do not fail to say thanks to the head of state. Otherwise, we will have completely stopped the fishing that accompanied us with military security to allow us to continue to forge ahead. We equally have a problem with consumables because if you don't have consumables of the coast, you will be blocked.
Il faut innover. Alors, si on n'a pas où se ravitailler, du coup, nous sommes bloqués.
A practical agricultural center has been established in Dizange, in the Sanaga division of the littoral region, as they say, which will reinforce the knowledge of agriculture in the area. The strategies shall be effective in all the regions of Cameroon.
And today, May the 31st, 2022 is being commemorated as a World No Tobacco Day. And the World Health Organization estimates that in 2020, tobacco was the leading cause of death and disability with more than 10 million victims per year. Smoking causes more deaths worldwide than HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, maternal mortality, car accidents, suicides, and homicides combined. World No Tobacco Day aims to highlight the critical role played by health professionals in tobacco control. The latter are in fact in contact with a high percentage of target population, and they have opportunity to help smokers to modify their behavior. They can also give advice and answers to questions about the consequences of smoking and set an example by abstaining from smoking. Junior Hossein will continue with you.
Et on parle du budget à présent, 10 jours pour passer en revue les programmes des différents ministères du Cameroun. C'est à la faveur de la session 2022 du comité interministériel d'examen des programmes ouverts hier, lundi à Yaoundé. Delphi Fonkoutene et Serge Alenzibou.
5 ans après le dernier comité interministériel d'examen des programmes, on repart sur de nouvelles bases ce lundi 30 mai à Yaoundé. De nouvelles missions pour le CIEP, réorganisées le 30 juin 2021 par le Premier ministre. Des innovations pour plus de vigueur.
La prise en compte des thématiques transversales, comme la décentralisation, le genre, le bilinguisme et le multiculturalisme, ou encore l'environnement et le développement durable, dans la définition des programmes est fortement recommandée avec la présence au sein du CIEP des représentants des administrations en charge de ces questions. La périodicité de la tenue des sessions du CIEP est également revue. À l'origine, sur une fréquence annuelle, elle est désormais triennale, laissant ainsi le temps aux administrations de mettre en œuvre des politiques publiques et de pouvoir justifier de changements effectifs.
À la suite de ces travaux d'ouverture, placés sous la houlette du président du dit comité, lui Paul Motazé, des échanges avec les responsables des différents départements ministériels. 10 jours pour examiner leurs différents programmes.
Dans un programme qui est déjà bien établi, on reçoit chaque administration pour regarder les programmes, la cartographie des programmes, la pertinence des objectifs et des indicateurs, les dispositifs de contrôle de gestion déployés au sein des administrations et de contrôle interne budgétaire, de discuter de la manière dont la performance est organisée au sein de cette administration.
Ces assises du CIEP New Look visent la mise en place d'une nouvelle cartographie des programmes au titre des exercices 2023-2025. Elles déboucheront sur des
est décédé au centre des urgences de Yaoundé où il avait été transporté hier de toute urgence. Il faut dire tout simplement qu'il a été attaquant de l'ouragan de Lomé et de canon de Yaoundé. Il a été également en équipe nationale. Comme le voyez, Jacques Nguéa a fait de beaux jours dans les Lions indomptables du Cameroun entre 1977 et 1984 avec à la clé la participation à la Coupe du Monde en 1982 et la campagne victorieuse de la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations 1984. Nous y reviendrons. Régina Cliquez, c'est la fin de ce 13h.
Of course, it's the end of this edition of the Bilingual News on Canal International, but of course not the end for programs and news. At 3:30, more news comes up from the region. At 6:15, catch Gladys Ambodibang for the primetime news in the English language. And at 7:50, this never Senkan, Eme Kati Mukuri will be yours for the news in the French language. But from us here in the studio is goodbye and God bless. Tomorrow is another day.
France